Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. I hope you're having a great weekend. I was actually out early this morning and it was starting to get quite crisp, I have to say. I mean, nothing like seeing the, steam from my breath or anything like that, but you can definitely sense that fall is in the air. It is readily approaching. And you know what else is approaching, right? The midterms. That's what's approaching. And my, oh my, do we have the perfect gift coming to the fore that will propel ultra MAGA candidates over the finish line. I'm sure you've all been following the absurd, the utterly insane, the literally cringeworthy hypocrisy of our woke liberal elite, our champagne socialists who sum up their vacation homes in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, these are the very liberal elite residents, okay? The who's who of the rich and famous who voted for Biden in 2020 by a massive mark. 80% of Martha's Vineyard voted for a guy who can't even ride a bike, all right? He needs training wheels, for heaven's sakes. They voted for open borders. They voted for a total breakdown in our immigration system. They voted for ending decisively the construction of the wall. And so Florida Governor Ron DeSantis decided to send them a little present. It's Christmas early, right? He sent upwards of about 50 migrants to the posh resort area of Martha's Vineyard, in effect saying, hey, you voted for this? Well, then enjoy, right? You want this? You got it. And so these migrants showed up on the island where the average price of a home is over $1 million. And how did this posh island community made up of 89% white Democrats, how did they respond? They actually had the gall to call out the National Guard, to, shall we say, deport these migrants from their island. You cannot make this shit up. The Massachusetts governor, Turley, deployed up to 125 National Guard members to remove the migrants from Martha's Vineyard and relocate them to a base at Cape Cod. And all of this happened within 24 hours after they arrived. And the reason, again, I kid you not, this is not fiction. The reason given is that these 50 migrants showing up at the doorstep of some of the wealthiest people in the nation was causing a, quote, humanitarian crisis. This is a humanitarian, 50 migrants crossing our moat border, entering into our community. This is a crisis the likes of which humanity has never even imagined. Gang, this really happened. And the beauty of it is that this indescribable, rank, stinking liberal leftist hypocrisy was on display for everyone to see. Everyone is talking about it today. How much these people at Martha's Vineyard are absolute and total losers. What a group of vile, sick phonies. Texas Senator Ted Cruz called them out on this. He knew that when 50 migrants all died from heat stroke in the back of a truck a few weeks back, not a single liberal gave a crap. But then 50 migrants show up at their front door in Martha's Vineyard and they scream humanitarian crisis and call out the freaking National Guard. And to do what? To deport them from their island. What a bunch of utter lowlights. And all of this is precisely what they voted for. They voted for open borders. They voted for the man and the policies that made these people showing up at their doorsteps possible. These really are the single most repulsive, loathsome hypocrites on the planet. But what makes this hypocrisy even worse is the fact that this is the very last issue the Democrats want on the front burner going into the midterms. This is delicious, okay? They're already getting slammed, if you think it through. They're already getting slammed with the highest inflation in 40 years. They're getting slammed with a recession. They're getting slammed with record high gas prices. They're getting slammed with supply chain interruptions. They're getting slammed with an epidemic, a violent crime epidemic in our imploding cities. The last possible thing that any Democrat will want back on the front burner before the midterms is perhaps the single most unpopular issue in the nation right now, bar none, in terms of policy. NPR just had a piece up on a poll they conducted along with Ipsos, and they found that the majority of the population does not just see the southern border as a crisis, They actually see it as a, quote, invasion. That's what the NPR article actually was freaking out over, since they're all libs over at NPR. They were freaking out that all of this invasion language that we're hearing from Kari Lake in Arizona, or Greg Abbott in Texas, or Ron DeSantis in Florida, they're freaking out that it's resonating, it's working. 53% of those polled believe that we're seeing nothing short of an actual invasion at our southern border. 53%, but that's hardly an outlier, okay? Every single poll out there, and Democrats know this, every poll shows that bumbling Biden and the Democrats are getting crushed on the southern border. Remember, a lot of Democrats want the southern border secured, okay? Independents overwhelmingly favor an end to illegal immigration. Republicans, of course, do as well. So when you're dealing with a supermajority like that, all agreeing that the southern border has to be secured and illegal immigration crushed, I assure you, this is the very last thing that Democrats want to be talking about right now, especially given that we're starting to see the fall surge for Republican candidates. Remember, I've been telling you this. I've been telling you this for months now. Don't believe the polls. Well, now you can believe them, all right? Republicans always poll horribly in the late summer into mid-September. It happens every single year in every election cycle. Glenn Youngkin was down 10 points to Terry McAuliffe at the end of August of last year. You can look it up yourself, Google it yourself. And the race started to tighten right around this time in mid-September. That's why you could start believing the polls. And guess what we're seeing all across the country? MAGA Republican candidates are beginning to surge. It happens in every single election cycle. We're seeing the surge in Pennsylvania. We're seeing the surge in Georgia. We're seeing the surge in Arizona. We're seeing the surge in Nevada. Right? The Republican Laxalt looks like he's going to turn Nevada Senate red for a huge pickup in the Senate, along with Herschel Walker in Georgia. Republicans are surging, and just as this surge is beginning, what's happening with the Democrats? They're calling out the National Guard to kick migrants out of their posh, elitist vacation spots after they voted for that. From an optics perspective, it's an absolute disaster, and it's going to help crush the Democrats just weeks from now. Can't wait. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on liberals absolutely freaking out. After all, that's all they do, but now they're freaking out after a huge Trump legal win. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.